As at the 18th of the 1st, 2025, the time is 5 minutes past 8, and Italy is already, so early on into the season, been swept up by the whirlwind of press and media surrounding the one that they call Sir Lewis Carl Davidson Hamilton, 7-time champion, some would say, GOAT settings, some would say, and I think this is going to cause much consternation, difficulty as far as the mission objective, the strategic ones that pose Scuderia Ferrari to themselves, Italy's team, the red car with the yellow badge atop, with the prancing black horse atop. It's going to get techie for them because Lewis Hamilton, as a driver, no, as a man and as a mainstream crossover superstar, is a very difficult Rubik's Cube of the automotive pugilistic variety for which Ferrari need to solve, the likes of which the world has never ever seen before. A rising F1 tide floats all boats. Some will say the eyes that's on F1, particularly at the start of this season coming up, will be unprecedented in terms of their number. Yes, they will be multitudinous. People will be tuning in just to see what Lewis Hamilton can do at the ripe old age of 40 in that red car. Of course, this is by dint of some of his underperformance, his struggles and troubles, by dint of his relationship with the boys and girls from Brackley and Brixworth last year. Oh yes, it wasn't Lewis Hamilton's finest hour last year, and we can go into that another time. Was it sabotage? I do not think so. Those people that say it was sabotage, they should not be allowed to use scissors. Rational mindedness is not the restaurant from which they dine, and that's okay. But over here, let's keep it centered, sane each and every single time. For what we won't do, no, we'll never do, is sacrifice F1 truth value and or objectivity at the altar of partisanship, confirmation and or recency bias. We cannot, but it's important under the heading of whether Ferrari can do it and Sir Lewis Hamilton can do it in their car. We look at this and peel back at these onion layers. I say all of that to say this. I saw Christian Horner again on TalkSport saying of Lewis Hamilton that he may well have a resurgence in him, that he's an emotional guy and we should look at the underperformance in 2024 through that lens. He continues, I think it really depends on how things start for him at Scuderia. That Ferrari is a huge brand looking to become a luxury brand, no longer a sports car brand, and that too, for context, is important. If the Tifosi, continues Horner, gets behind Lewis and he gets off to a good start, then the qualities are still there as far as a racing driver behind the wheel of an F1 car, and I hope so. I tend to agree with Christian Horner in his infinite wisdom. I think it's all still there for Lewis Hamilton under the right circumstances. We know Lewis is a different beast if, say, it's Silverstone in changeable conditions in 2024 and the cars come alive, cooler climbs, and now he has the front nose handling dynamic that he so loves, rear stability settings even that he can trust. Then Lewis Hamilton, I mean, can anybody beat that dude when he's in that mood and had his Weetabix that morning? Not named Maximilian Verstappen, I would argue not, even at the ripe old age then of 39, soon to be 40 years old. But this, ladies and gentlemen, going into 2.5 is a little bit different, isn't it? It's Ferrari. This is Italy's team. For context, and if past his prologue, for the avoidance of doubt, Lewis Hamilton at the age of 40 years old is trying to do something that's unprecedented, as near as makes no difference. Don't believe me? Well, let me put you on some game. 40 years old. There's not been too many 40-year-old champs in all of F1 history, has there, if I recall correctly? Brabham in 1966, 57 was Fangio, 1950 Farina. You get the gist with those. All of those happened a gazillion years ago. Back then, F1 was very different to the professional, high-level, young, hungry Lions game that it is now. How many drivers in F1 history have won World Driver Championships at 3 teams or more? Oh, wait. Non-rhetorical question. One ever. And he was one of the goatiest peddlers to have ever goated in F1. That dude had a name, and his name was Juan Manuel Fangio. But again, that happened a gazillion years ago when F1 was a very different sport, semi-professional if anything. Now it is anything but. And going into 2-5 for Lewis Hamilton, there's a couple things that you can be sure of as far as Ferrari are concerned. Rob Smedley has told us that if past this prologue, Ferrari being Italy's team will live and die with a Lewis and a Charles. What do I mean by that? Well, if everything's going well and they get out the gate quick, as Christian Horner's alluded to, then Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc are going to feel like superstars. They'll be walking on water. They won't need to pay for a drink or a meal in Italy, Milan, Rome, wherever. It doesn't matter. They will be heroes, the likes of which Ferrari have never ever seen. The Tifosi will go to bat for them each and every single time. But if they start losing and that pressure cooker turns round, that expectation pressure doom loop starts to get some pace up, then it's going to get techie for either one of Charles Leclerc and Sir Lewis Hamilton. And again, I say all that to say this. You would think that Ferrari, it's reported today in Forbes that Lewis is expected to be the highest paid driver on the grid in 2025. Max will be getting around 75 million. Forbes speculate that Lewis will be getting more than that. They say it could be anywhere up to 100 million for Sir Lewis, potentially a number around 83. Excluding bonuses. This is all F1 conjecture, rumour and speculation, if indeed that's something in which you can be invested. And at that rate, ladies and gentlemen, Lewis Hamilton's got to do something special on and off the track. You know the strategic objectives of Ferrari are as follows: to grow the brand, not just the sports car brand, but to grow it into a luxury brand over the next 3 to 4 years. This is a departure from history if past this prologue as far as Scuderia are concerned, and 2 as far as Lewis Hamilton. The Italians think that he's the right combination of legacy and performance. This per gpblog.com. That of course he's got the 7-time champion. He's a champion. He embodies that. There's never been a more winning champion in F1 history than Sir Lewis Carl Davidson Hamilton. And that has to mean something as far as his mindset going forward. And if indeed he can turn back the clocks and remember who he is in the car, both in quali on Saturday and on a race on Sunday, then that's the perfect combination, is it not? Is it not, for Ferrari and what they need? But again, say all that to say this, it will be difficult. This journey to the 8th for Sir Lewis is beset on both sides by travails and stats. Fangio, who else? Alain Prost, did he manage to go to Ferrari and turn them around? Absolutely not. Did Fernando Alonso, for all of his wisdom and race management and IQ in a racing car, did he manage it? Absolutely not. Fell at the final hurdle. Did Nigel Mansell manage to win a championship in a Ferrari, a red car with the yellow badge atop the black prancing horse? Even Nigel Mansell didn't manage it either. I say all this to say that the broader context is difficult. The gradient of the mountain up which Lewis Hamilton will have to climb to get to that fabled, unprecedented 8th is steep. Damn near vertical, as near as Nate so different. And what makes it more treacherous for Lewis Hamilton is as follows. Frederick Vasseur said on a gazillion occasions that he thinks that rancor and turbulence potentially between Lewis and Charles is nothing to be sniffed at, but that it will spur the team on to greatness. I'm not so sure Frederick Vasseur's not underestimating what he has in front of him, you know. Yeah, it's all good now, but it was all good between George and Lewis when they first arrived together in the same team, wasn't it? But when you both want the same thing, which is of course a driver's championship, and it is not to be shared ultimately, when you have the tools requisite to win yourself one, it will become rancor and stakes and friction between Lewis and Charles at some point. Yeah, they're all cool for now, but how long can that stay true for, especially when all the parameters and the variables are set fair? Oh, and by the way, Frederick Vasseur is also saying that whilst they've built a team up designed to win the championship, Frank Sanchez just come in. He's the aerobod. He'll roll up to Diego Tondi. Everybody says both of those are really, really good people. Sound intellectual minds. Not quite Adrian Newey levels, but in and around there. Loic Serra is the dude to activate the tyres again. This is the struggle that Lewis Hamilton had last year. Loic Serra, if indeed they were offset in real time, is that fella. He will be there. That's Mr. Tyres himself. Fred Vasseur is building up a team in the red car, in the red garage, set to win races and therefore championships. But what Frederick Vasseur is not going to do, his words not mine, is build a team and make special dispensation around Sir Lewis Hamilton. Naysayers of the Lewis Hamilton variety will say that that's exactly what Lewis Hamilton needed last year. For Mercedes, the boys and girls from Brackley and Brixworth, Toto the boy who cried wolf included, to make special dispensation for an ageing 39, soon to be 40-year-old Sir Lewis Hamilton. And I think, ladies and gentlemen of the F1 jury, that that's significant. Frederick Vasseur will not bend the knee. Just as they didn't do to sign one Adrian Newey, they're not going to reconstruct, rebuild or reorg their squad or team just for one person. They didn't do it then around Newey, and they're not going to do it around Sir Lewis, Carl Davids and Hamilton, even if he does have 7 championships to his name. I think that means something more broadly as well, as we look at this team through the lens of Charles Leclerc going forward, because he's their star boy now. £83 million per year for Lewis Hamilton. That means something, but they will see Charles Leclerc as the guy through whom all roads around World Drivers' Championship success go through. This, ladies and gentlemen of the F1 jury, is Charles Leclerc's team, not Sir Lewis Hamilton's, and I think that's got to mean something. Godspeed to Sir Lewis Hamilton. As a fan, I hope he gets out the gate quick and can beat one Charles Leclerc, aka modern day Jean Alesi, in the driver's standings to the all critical point that is the Monaco Grand Prix. Between now and then, however, your boy Cameron CC concludes that I think this is Charles Leclerc's to lose. Oh, the humanity.